But each of these activities is so important to the business. And the goal here is to create a model, or to model what other successful agents are doing every day, and show you how to do it. So that's what we're here talking about. The first piece here is lead generate for buyers and sellers. These are the skills that we're going to focus on. And it's really important that understanding the importance of your database and how to take advantage of your sphere of influence that will allow you to launch into that grow and run of your business. It is so fundamental here. So for starters here, I'd like to try to keep this as interactive as possible, especially late at night. So rather than me just trying to jump in and tell you what a database is, can someone explain to us what a database is?
I guess I'll go. I guess it would be a place where an organized place where you maintain all of your contacts and information for reaching out to clients, current clients or potential clients.
Yep. And Leslie said, perfect, a place to maintain information. And the information is as good as you use it, really. We call it a CRM, a customer or client relationship manager. And there's all sorts of them out there. And there's an old adage that the best CRM here is the one that you use, and truer words could not be spoken. There's always debates among realtors, which is the best CRM. This one does that. This one has an auto dialer. This one helps with the mailers. Really, the most important thing is to use one. And it still saddens me when I meet with realtors who are a couple years into their business, and there is no database. And it really means that the intentionality behind what you do and how you grow your business is not there. So hopefully by the end of the night, you guys will see the importance, and then also see some tips on actually how to utilize them. All right. So what is a database? What is the purpose of your database? What makes a database valuable? What other industries use a database for prospecting and marketing? And what makes targeted marketing effective? These are obviously, they're fully loaded questions here. We'll go down through them one by one. First of all, we're still getting some stragglers coming in here. I told you I'd be like the dog with a ball here. So there's obviously the purpose of the database is to be able to stay in touch with people and to be able to provide items of value. I think we'd all agree with that. What makes a database valuable? I know it's late, but we're gonna have fun, I promise. What makes the database valuable?
The quality of the information that you put into it.
That's right. Who said that?
Min and Amanda Ong.
Min and Amanda. All right, thank you. It's the information you put in there. So what kinds of information can you put into a database?
I mean, aside from just general contact information like name, phone number, address, you could put important things that you remember about them, like birthdays, anniversaries,
Children,
their kids, special interests, things like that, helping you make genuine connections with people.
Love it. I love it. Sounds like someone who might already have a database. But that's exactly right.
We're working on it. We're working.
Good. What other industries use a database for prospecting and marketing?
Pretty much all of them.
Pretty much all of them. You think Facebook has one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You think Amazon has one?
Absolutely.
Yep. I know Bed Bath and Beyond definitely does. I get those blue postcards in the mail. I know that they have me. What makes the targeted marketing effective?
By remembering people and things about them, your connections, and the more often you touch these contacts, the more likely you're going to get a successful, either buyer or seller contract out of them.
Right. Right. Like the more that you touch them with relevant information, the more sticky they become, the more sticky you become in their minds. So for example, if you're sending, marketing material about, a 41-acre farm out in northern Baltimore County, and you're sending it to a bunch of people that live downtown, you've missed the targeted marketing. And you're way more likely to have people unsubscribe to those types of marketing attempts and emails. If you are, sending more targeted marketing, like, for example, sending something to people who live downtown, tips on how to avoid traffic on the day of the marathon. You're speaking their language. You're speaking to that targeted audience. And the only way you can really have targeted marketing is if you have this data in your database. For example, we have a box, basically. We call it a pond in my world. On our team, it's a pond. And we have a pond for people who live downtown and have kids. Now, you might be in a different pond too of, maybe it's a divorced couple. Might there be a market in real estate for people who are just going through a divorce? They could be going through a divorce and have kids downtown. So if we have events for kids downtown that we know of and we want to push out to our people, are we going to send it to everybody in our database? Probably not. We're going to send it to our targeted marketed audience. So there are three levels here. And do you guys all have a participant guide? Yeah. Well, on page 4, you all have that?
I don't have it with the email to us.
It was emailed. Yeah, it's in the email.
It's in the
Okay,
email.
I'll double check. Thank
I'll
you.
take a look at it. There's 3 levels of a millionaire database. There's essential marketing, there's effective marketing, and then there's exceptional marketing. And the simplest and most fundamental is that first level of a database that will have the person's name, contact information, past business or past contact record, and they are communicating with you at will. Does that make sense? So contact information should be complete. It should be phone number, email address, home address. And this is where you can get creative. I mean, we're all in the real estate world, so we have easier access to data points that a lot of folks don't have. For example, if we know someone in our database owns a home, we can pretty easily find out when they bought that home, right? We could even go online and find out if they got a mortgage and when they got a mortgage, how much that mortgage was for. What can you learn from that? Just understanding what someone owes or what someone's mortgage was 5 years ago when they bought a house.
You could potentially do the math to figure out what kind of equity they're working with.
Exactly. As the market cycles, might it be valuable to know, to be able to have, with a click of a button, to be able to discern who put 20% down on their home when they bought it versus who put 3.5% down on their home. Might it open up some other kinds of conversations, particularly, refinance conversations, or potentially even investment or secondary home opportunities? The equity's there. How can we help them use it? As you start to reach out to your leads and communicate with folks, you'll likely start to notice some similarities between them, and that could be, that they all live in the same neighborhood, they all are the same, are rooting for the same sports team. They could be there's either geographic similarities or cultural similarities, and all these pieces are information that can be gathered and are useful for us. And it can be very trivial at times. So, and the important piece here is that you have a way to document it. I think the biggest mistake we make in this process is thinking that we can remember a lot of things. And I don't know about you guys, but memory and remembering things is not my strong suit. I got a good memory for a face, to remember a face, but the details of my conversations with people, they're all in my database. They're documented. These are your second level here of the database. This is to get permission to be able to talk with them, collect personal information, insights and preferences, and to be able to segment the group based on 1-6. You guys remember what 1-6 is? You guys know what 1 through 6 is? It's 1 through 6 is right here. It's name, contact information. See, I'm not going to ask you too hard of questions here tonight, but we want to be purposeful and consistent. And I think there are two different lines of thought in terms of initially reaching out to your database. Has anyone been coached on day one to call everybody and let them know that you're selling real estate?
Yes.
We've all been coached to do that. I think a lot of people have been coached to do that. There's and then there's the folks who have been selling real estate for years, who are now just starting to get into database building. Do we have any folks that are like that here?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for the honesty, Donna. I think one of the most effective ways that I found to be able to gain permission is to not start off with asking for business in this process. Database management there's that CRM, and I don't know if the C stands for client or customer. That to me doesn't really matter, but the second word in that is the most important word, and that's relationship. And that's what this is really all about. It's about helping us dial in and create more purposeful, more meaningful relationships with people in our lives. And by doing that, a lot of other good things happen. But it's hard to start off building a relationship with people when you come at them and kind of just asking for handouts or asking for their business. It's a lot easier when you're offering value, even when you don't know what that value is, even if it's, how can I help you? What are your goals? And then be able to take those and actually document it, so you don't have to ask that question twice. You see where I'm getting at here? Step 6 here, we've got to collect the personal information, the insights and preferences. This is an opportunity for us to cement our relationships. Wherever there's leads or contacts that share similarities, they can create a group, and you can use tags in Command. I think this is one of the best things about Command, is that you can group people together. If you have a group of dog owners, if everyone's got a dog, and then you want to throw a happy hour at a dog park, you now know exactly who that's your targeted marketing now. Make sense? You know, there's a lot of tags that can be used. You can do tags based on the neighborhood that they're looking to move, their age, family size, their hobbies. The more detailed the groups, the more effective your communication will be, point blank. And the part of being purposeful and consistent is to make sure that the leads are in a contact touch campaign. There's a touch campaign, I believe it's on page what is it? It's in the participant guide. I'm not exactly sure which page it is, but you know,
Which participant guide are you in? Because they sent them like as a group, so I'm just trying to determine which one it is. Yeah.
That I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, is there one for each course? Is there a participant guide for each Ignite class?
Well, actually, the way that she sends all of them and say that it says that like the document, the materials can be found here, and there is like a Google Drive link, and then I'm not sure which one we're actually in.
I think we're in your database is your business. I think that's the one we're in tonight.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
That would have been a simple answer. So there's a 36 touch program. Have you all heard about a 36 touch program? First of all, by a raise of hands, or I think there's a way to raise your hand in here. You guys all read the MREA book?
I have not.
Do you know what it is? You know what it stands for?
About halfway through. Millionaire real estate agent.
Millionaire real estate agent. It is it is, I don't want to say the Bible, because that is I don't want to construe anything religiously here, but it is I think one of the most detailed playbooks on how to grow your business. And a big part of it is a 33 touch program. Now 33 has turned into 36 over the last years. I don't know, there must have been a survey or a scientist that got paid to change it from 33 to 36. But the point is that we want to have, and I think it's on here. Nope. We want to be able to connect with them with every one of our leads in a systematic way. We have what is it, 19 leads. It's 19 to connect. So 19 times a year you're connecting with people. That's 4 times with a quarterly phone call. There's 12 monthly either emails or newsletters or market reports or videos. We have 2 touches that are promotional material, direct mail. It can be sports schedules, calendars, and then 1 client event. And there's a difference between leads and contacts. So it's the 19 refers to how many people in your database need, like the lead conversion process. If you're paying for leads that are in your database, it's roughly 19 to 1. That's the ratio. If you have contacts in your database with 36 touch, it's 4 touches throughout the year via phone, 26 touches biweekly, usually some type of item of value or an email with information about housing market tips, things of that sort. 2 touches that are events or get-togethers, and then 4 touches, which would consist of promotional direct mail. Again, there's sports calendars, market data reports. But the key here is the consistency. I remember when I first read the MREA book, this was probably in 2009. I spent 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, trying to perfect a 36 touch campaign. And it was beautiful when I was all done. And I was so proud of myself, and I never implemented it. And, I think part of it is that there's so much, I think, so much creativity and energy that goes into creating it and trying to have it perfect that you actually don't do it. And the most important thing is to go and do it and not worry about, is this the perfect one, or is this the material that everybody wants to see? Is this the sports team that people care about to have on their refrigerator? You just go out and do it. And you can always clean it up as you go. You can revise it. You can make it different next year, aside from this year. But you got to do it. The last piece here is to create an automated custom communication built around certain triggers. What are certain triggers that could take place in your database?
Someone's change of sort of status, I suppose, if some event happens in their life to change their situation, a marriage, a divorce, birth of a child. Yeah, birth of a child, which might affect their real estate needs.
Sure. Now, I heard, did you say birthdays too?
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea on this piece here, and this is, I think, a big difference between 2 and 3. Level 2 is where you're getting insight, you're getting personal information, you're collecting personal information, insights, and preferences. So someone is pregnant. That's information you're going to collect in a level 2. The birth of a child is still level 2 because you have to go get that information. Level 3 would be a birthday, a wedding anniversary, a home anniversary, things that once you've collected it once, they're automated. So the idea that your clients are getting a birthday card every year can be automated, where you don't actually have to do anything. Does anyone get an email on their birthday from a company?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just you? Just one?
2.
Two.
We get them from London.
Yeah, we get them.
All right, good. And look, this is not, we all know probably too, that getting a birthday email here does not create the stickiness, right? I mean, you don't get an email from Bed Bath & Beyond, which I'll use probably a couple times tonight as an example, but we don't get that email from Bed Bath & Beyond and be like, oh yes, thank you. Now I'm going to go to Bed Bath & Beyond. We got a hand raise here. I like the hand raise function. So I'm going to promote that by calling on you. Did you have a hand? Did you have something to say? No? Hold on here. Who is this? No. Okay. You get a card from my auto insurance company. Okay. It's a nice touch. Get some from some retailers. The idea is that when you do these things and you follow it up with other kinds of communication, that's where you get an effective communication strategy. We don't, and I also think too, when you get emails from different companies, is it a little bit less personal than if they got one from you? Because you're not some big company, so when you get an email from Amazon on your birthday, that it's not Jeff Bezos who is personally sending you something. Unless I don't know something about this group. I know I don't get that. But when I get one from my insurance agent, I think a little bit differently about that. That's not as spammy to me. Anybody disagree with me there? Good. No disagreeing with me tonight. So the end goal here, though, is for us to get to level 3, but we can't just get to level 3 without first going through these other levels, level 1 and level 2. And, you know, for most of the folks I talk to, it is level 1 and level 2 that leave the most opportunities for growth. But I can't stress to you the importance of being able to get to that level 3, that automation. And I think that's really one of the things that Command is building out to really help the agent be able to do more and communicate more and have to think less. Everyone hear that? Do more, communicate more, but think less. And I don't know about you, but I like thinking less. So why do we use the database? Why do we use a database? What are 2 good reasons why we would use a database?
Well, because I can't remember all these people off the top of my head.
Okay.
And then I also want to use the people in the database to expand the database.
Okay. Explain that one.
So say I have a couple good friends in my database, and then I let them know that I am working in real estate. And if they know anybody in their friend circle that needs a realtor, ta-da, promote me, my friends.
There you go. And so that would kind of, I think that kind of gets to a more predictable ROI. So guys, just so you all know, I was asking a question and I gave you the 2 answers here. So I make the stuff real easy for class participation tonight. We gotta stay alive. We have avoiding the today trap and predictable ROI. What do we think the today trap is?
They're only good for today, and we forget about them tomorrow.
Okay. That's, yeah. Anyone else? What could the today trap?
Working only on the current transaction.
Working on the current transaction. Thinking about who is looking to buy and sell today. That's the today trap. And there are 2 types of businesses here. There's today's business and tomorrow's business. And without a database, your business is built only for today. You know, would we agree? We think we can probably all agree that everybody has a need for a house, right? And we probably can all agree that over the next 10 years, 15 years, most people in our database, most people in our lives will move, right? So all of these people are potential clients. They're people that, you know, it's not to necessarily monetize the relationship strictly, but there is a piece of this where it's, you know, everybody's going to buy, everyone's going to sell. And I say everybody, obviously there's folks who don't ever buy a home, but for the most part, and I say for the most part, even that 64% is the home ownership rate across the country. The people that we're focusing on are going to either be buying today or be buying in some tomorrow from now. And so that today trap is just avoiding just thinking about, well, this person's not looking to buy today, or they're not looking to buy this year. They're going to be buying next year, so I'll deal with them next year. It is it's a very short-sighted way to look at your business, and it's not to mention that you'll also find a lot of people who say they're looking to buy tomorrow end up buying today. So why do we use a database? I know we've talked about this. Why use a database? Why use a database? So here's an example here. We have 100 people in your market. I just said the home ownership rate. 64%. This is 65. These are people who are homeowners. 35 of them are not. Follow me so far? Now, out of the 65%, 58 of those people are off the market. The remaining people, there's 7 of them here, are your today's business. If an agent is working without a database and is only focused on today's business, they're focused on finding the orphan of these 7. Because you have to keep in mind that these 7 people, if you're not loving on them, someone else might be. I actually, because I work in with a paranoid state of mind, I assume that those 7 people are being loved on by other people. It's also why when we're building out a database, we don't just put in our clients. When we sell a house, when we're representing a seller and there's a buyer, usually a buyer, hopefully there's a buyer, because if there's no buyer, then there's no sale, right? But we'll help someone sell their house, and the information that we have for the buyer goes in our database, and we start loving on them. So when they have their first year home anniversary, and their second year home anniversary, and their third year home anniversary, we are calling them. We are calling them. They are not our client, not yet. But we know that there are so many orphan buyers out there, orphan clients out there, where you make the sale and then that's it. There's no database, so there's no follow-up. And there's just the hope that the experience was good enough that they will remember you in 5 years or 7 years or 10 years or 15 years. And we just know that that's not the case most of the time, particularly if you can demonstrate that you can provide value during the downtime. They forget about the other person. In fact, we've had people who actually forgot that we were not their realtor. But we've stayed on top of them. We had actually recently, we have someone under contract right now where they were looking to buy their first home in 2016. We did not close that sale. In fact, I had a follow-up phone call with her and I called her up and she's like, oh my God, I know we told you we weren't going to buy till next year, but we saw a house at an open house. We loved it. So we made an offer and we're under contract. We closed in a month. And first of all, as a realtor, I'm like, that's like, it's like the saddest day for a realtor when that stuff happens, but it happens all the time.
Yes.
And we said, look, that's great. Look, congratulations. If we can be of value to you, if we can be a resource for you, beyond, after the sale, please feel free to reach out. Well, we reached out to this person, put them in our campaign, and I would reach out to her a few times a year, 4 times a year, just to touch base, see if there's anything that she needs, that, if there's contractors, if there's a home improvement item that needs to be done, if she has questions about, a new law or legislation that was passed as it pertains to real estate, just always stayed in touch. Well, fast forward now to 2021, and early in the year, we started talking with them, and they now were she was single when she bought the house. Now she's married and she's pregnant. And we first helped them buy a place out in Bel Air. So let me back you up here. This was a $180,000 lead from 2016 that we didn't close. And in 2021, we've helped them buy a $650,000 house, and we've helped them sell their house for $275,000. And none of that would have been possible without a database. Zero. There's no way that those 2 transactions occur. And we've gotten a referral from them after helping them do both. It comes back to just being able to pick up the phone and dial. But some of the stats that we have here from NAR is that people move every 10 years. So if we're focusing on people that are doing business today, you're only focusing on 10% of the population, 10% of your database. If you consider all the contacts as potential clients, the tomorrow business, they automatically have a much bigger market. And taking control of your database and having consistent approach to the contact is how we build a path to the future in real estate here. Anyone have any ahas before I keep moving on? Any questions or comments? I at least can see some smiles, so I'll take that as you're listening. Why we use a database? We want to take advantage of the predictable ROI. So we have here average ROI, 10 to 1, 14 to 1. So for every dollar that you invest in your database activities, expect at least $14. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if we invest in the stock market, if we invest in Bitcoin, unless you invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago, these kinds of returns, if you can get a 10 to 1, 14 to 1 return consistently, your only thought should be, how do I spend more dollars? If I said you take $1 and you turn it into 10, you would just say, how many times can I do that, right? It's possible to get much more than a 10 to 1 or 14 to 1 ROI when you are working repeat and referral business. It's almost impossible to do when you're paying for leads. So we want to take advantage of predictable ROI. There's 3 important considerations here. There's lowest lead cost, there's lowest conversion cost, and then there's it pays for itself. So just for the sake of breaking things up, and so I'm not doing all the talking here tonight, can I get somebody to volunteer and read number 1?
I'll go.
And Leslie, you'll do number 2, but go ahead.
Okay. Lowest lead cost. The cheapest customer acquisition strategy is to work with existing customers and people who know and like you.
What does that mean to you?
People in your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
People in your phone.
Your family.
That's
Friends.
Right. People who might already trust you. Right?
Mhm.
Leslie, can you read number 2?
Lowest conversion costs. When properly built and maintained, a database will actually end up producing its own leads in the form of repeat clients and referrals, and it will also have the lowest conversion costs.
What does that mean to you?
That it won't cost you a thing besides probably a smile and a kind word, because those that you've already put in your database will actually refer you out to other people who will then continue to refer you out.
Yeah, now I would say it's definitely not going to cost you nothing. It's definitely not free.
Because it says built and maintained.
Time, and it often does take resources. Like if you are going to send out an item of value, it's going to cost some money, even if it's just postage and an envelope. But they are far less expensive than some of these programs out there where you can pay $100 for a lead.
Right.
And in case you guys are wondering what I mean by that, like, there's a couple companies out there, like I won't name any of them, but like one of them rhymes with Schmillo. So I won't say which one it is, but that's what it rhymes with. you're paying anywhere from, on the low end, $50 a lead, to the high end, $175 for a lead, for a name and phone number, maybe an email address, and maybe it's the right phone number, and maybe it's an email address that doesn't just go to junk. These costs are crazy costs, particularly when you're trying to get started here and you have people that and you like, and they like you, and they trust you. And there's actually it's a know us, like us, and trust us. Those are the three things that, if we can answer those three things affirmatively for someone, they absolutely belong in our 36 touch pond. Know us, like us, and trust us. It's not about whether we know them or we like them or we trust them. It's the other way around. Number 3, who can read number 3 for me?
I'll do it. A database makes it easy to do consistent follow-up. And when you're good at consistent follow-ups, the result leads will end up paying for themselves.
Yes. So there's a difference between lead generation and lead follow-up. Can anyone venture to guess what the differences are?
I think lead generation is you reaching out to potential customers based on information that you've gotten. Lead follow-up is, so for myself, I've had some potential clients go through my site and saying, hey, I'm looking to buy or sell. And it's just me going to follow up with them to see where they are in the process, if they're ready, how soon.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think lead generate is, when you're calling people every day, you're calling people on their birthday or on a home anniversary. That's lead gen right there. You're following up with someone who inquired about a property and they said they're holding off for 6 months, and you're calling them 2 or 3 months later. That's lead follow-up. And there's a distinct difference in the two. And you got to do both, but you also have to know what you're doing. I've seen a lot of people just focus on the lead follow-up, and they think that they're lead generating because they're talking to leads. And there's a big difference between lead follow-up and lead generating. So I just want to make sure that we are clear on those. So developing developing your database here. I love this slide here. So we got 3 or 4 sections here: feeding it consistently, segmenting it into groups, engaging it with a touch plan, and tend to it over time. So this first slide here talks about feeding it consistently. And you got this money pyramid here where you have highest costs up top, lowest costs at the bottom. And you can see here that with the marketing has the highest touch or the highest expense. It's money intensive, it's passive, long-term results. Anyone give me an example of a good marketing piece or a marketing example that might be long-term results oriented? I don't think we can probably think of one that's really short-term anyway. But I'll tell you, I'll go with this. The first thing that comes to my mind is farming, geofarming. You guys all know what that is?
Yes.
Geographical farming. So what is that, Donna? You mind sharing that?
A particular area that an agent decides to basically farm, which is sort of just to reach out to that particular area repeatedly, to just touch them on a regular basis, however often it is, with an item of value, with everything you've been talking about, item of value, a phone call, text, content, whatever, but you're constantly, you're with regularity reaching out to that geographical area, farming, for lead generation, etc.
Yeah, they call it farming, and thank you, Donna. That's a perfect explanation. They call it farming because it's kind of like planting seeds. you got to plant the seeds, and then you got to water it, and you got to take care of it, for that crop to be worth anything. You can't just, plant the seeds and walk away. And geofarming, I think, is one of the best examples of this, because if you select an area to do a geofarm, you're committing yourself to a money-intensive, passive program that you hope will create some long-term results. But anybody that does it successfully will tell you it will take 6 months to a year to see any of the seedlings, so to speak. The hope is after 1 year, you've broken even. So you're like, oh my God, like we ain't getting this business to break even. But that's not what geofarming is not meant to be a 1 year plan that gives you a successful business. It's meant to be something that you grow into, and the business grows into you. And we've done some geofarming over the years, and we've been no different in terms of it taking we've seen it. It takes 6 months to a year to break even. Year 2, you have a ROI, maybe 2 to 1 ROI. It's really in years 3, 4, 5, and plus where you start to see 4, 5, 6 plus 6 to 1 returns on your work. But it's taken a long time to do that. So it's not like it's not your get rich quick scheme. It's not your strategy here that you're going to deploy today if you have the need to simply close deals today. But if you're thinking long term, you're thinking about, what is 2024 going to look like for you? What is 2025 going to look like for you? That's exactly the way you think. Now, prospecting here, you have more time intensive, because you are literally committing to calling a lot of people on a daily basis. It's proactive. You have to actually think about doing those things. Like, you have to put yourself out there. And what you will find is immediate results. Now, when I say immediate, I don't mean, you spend 2 hours prospecting and you're going to have a sale, but if you commit yourself to lead generating on a 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, I can't, obviously I'm not a guarantee guy, but you're going to get results. You're going to get faster results than anything that requires a lot of money and marketing power. We've done this with radio too, by the way. Radio is no different than geofarming. It takes 6 to 12 months, and you hope that you can break even. And I can tell you from personal experience that I've done radio where it took me more than 12 months to break even. So these things are about, like, you have long-term strategies. This is where you got today business and tomorrow business. And without a doubt, we got to close business today to be in business tomorrow. But we want to have both going, because what happens is you get a beautiful mess at the end where you have today and tomorrow business coming at you with less effort and more automation. So these are tags that can go in your database here. So we have something actually very similar to this. These are all breakdowns of tabs. So you can literally organize or send a specific message to a group of people with a few clicks of a mouse. We do this on command. I also do this with Facebook. Anybody use Facebook? Anyone heard of Facebook? It's a social media site. See, I got a couple smiles.
Yes, heard of it.
You heard of it? So there's a cool little function that a lot of people don't even know about, but you can segment you can tag your people you're friends with. So for example, if you're a realtor and we're friends on Facebook, you are tagged as a realtor. If you are a past client of mine and we're friends on Facebook, you're tagged as a past client. If we're just friends, and we don't have any business relationship at all. But I've just known you somehow, some way. You're labeled as a friend. And when I put stuff out there, like for example, when I have messages that I want to go out to realtors about a great training or how to grow your business, I don't do that and like broadcast it to my past clients and my friends. That might come off as a little bit tacky, or maybe they start to think of our relationship as something I just try to monetize rather than a genuine relationship that it is. So I don't want them to see that, but I can only do that by being able to have those kinds of tags. So command is no different than that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to skip through some of this stuff because this gets into your, I think, some of the logistical stuff with command. And in the interest of time here, I'm going to blast through that. I do want to, what is it? It's 7 o'clock. This is not, this is everybody's, how many, first of all, sorry. How many? Okay. All right, good. I got some comments here from that. You didn't know that you can do that, Karen. Well, if you need any help with that, you let us know. But in every Ignite class, there's a 15-minute period where you guys are lead genning. Have you guys done that? Have these instructors been doing you right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So when I give you guys 15 minutes here to make calls, you guys know what you're doing. Or should I explain it to anybody? Does anyone not know what they're doing or who they're calling? No? All right. Well, then I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes. You know, and one thing I would just tell you to keep in mind here, it's not that you can't ask for business, but with each person you talk to, see if there's something that you can do for them and see how they respond when you ask. All right. You guys up for it? Min and Amanda, you down?
Oh, of course we are.
All right, cool. All right, well, 15 minutes. I'll be right here. All right. Everybody get somebody on the phone? Yeah. Somebody?
I reached out to a couple of people via text, and one got back to me. And it's a friend, like we're kind of in the same phase as life. We've got the same age children, and you know, we're just in a similar you know, just phase of our life. And it didn't feel genuine, like springing real estate on my friend via text, but I did spring that I want to meet up with her and catch up, and she agreed. And so we have a meeting on Friday, which will likely involve drinks.
Very good. Very good. I love it. Anybody else have some success they can share?
Yes, I was able to get an old coworker that I worked with about 6 years ago, and called her and just let her know, like, hey, I'm into real estate, and just found out that she's thinking about buying a bigger house because she's in a house. So she's thinking of selling her house and buying a bigger house. So she just needs to know how that, if that's beneficial for her.
I love that. That's a good one. Yeah. All right, one more. Somebody else. Somebody else. One more. Come on. It doesn't have to be that you made a sale. Just got a live person on the phone who didn't hang up on you. Someone who didn't get the new phone who dis response. You guys are a tough crowd here. One more, come on. All right, a lot of cameras turned off. Maybe y'all are still on the phone here. So let's jump right into building testimonials, building your database, pruning the database, so to speak. You know, it's in addition to leveraging your sphere of influence for testimonials and reviews, it's important to make sure that they're regularly updated and pruned in the database. What things could change in a database for a contact? You put someone in a database last year, what could change this year?
Phone number?
Phone number?
Their familiar status or marital status.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said their marital status or their family structure.
The marital status or family structure. Yep, that's a good one. Anyone else?
New career, new job,
One more time.
new career or new job.
New career, new job. Yep. Anything else? How about the one that you hope that doesn't change in between?
Address.
The address. That's right. That's right. You know, so you want to constantly be thinking like, are these people that are in my database, are these people I want to do business with? You know, not everybody, you're not going to help everybody. And, you know, as you converse with people, you'll figure out certain people, you know what? I don't know if I want to do business with this person. I don't know if I want their referrals. You know, there are folks where if we have a really tough transaction and the person just isn't treating people right, the people that you're going to get referred, if you're going to get referred at all, people that would get referred by that person are likely to be people like that one. You know, so it's okay to remove people from your database. You know, in fact, there are some coaching methods out there that will advise you to kind of grade your database, A, B, C, and D. A being people, these are your top people that, you know, are repeat clients. They are serial referral givers. B clients are good, you know, you're good. They've bought, you think they'll buy again with you, you know, but they don't really refer you a whole lot. And then C are people who you have an okay relationship. You think that you could maybe improve that relationship to move them into a B or an A, but aren't there yet. You haven't earned that relationship yet. And then D are people that should be deleted. Anyone ever heard of those before? You know, this goes back, I think that was Buffini Coaching that takes me back about 10 years ago. And Buffini Coaching, while I wouldn't necessarily recommend them as a coaching powerhouse in today's real estate environment, there's some great lessons out of their coaching. And a lot of it it's all about loving your database. Buffini is build your business by referral. I'm pretty certain that's the tagline there. And it is all database intensive. It is loving on the database. So we have building a culture around testimonials and reviews. So we want to make sure that people are leaving reviews for us. Anybody want to name a couple of sites where you can leave reviews for people, for us as realtors, where you can direct your people to leave reviews for you? Anyone have any reviews online?
No.
I saw your lips move, but I couldn't hear anything.
Oh yeah, I was just saying to myself, I don't have any clients to get any reviews.
Okay. Well, you probably do. Have you shown
Can't
any
they-
houses yet?
No,
You haven't shown a house yet? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, you got, okay. That's very beginning stage. That's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're in the right place.
Can't they leave them on like Yelp
Yelp. Yep.
and
Yelp
and Google, right?
and Google.
Yeah.
That's Google is where we're actually starting to make a large effort to get our reviews moved to.
I've seen a lot of people review on Zillow.
Yep. That's remember, we're not using company names here, only things that rhyme, like Schmillo. Sorry. But yes, I mean, we have a lot of reviews there, and frankly, we're trying to move away from it because we know that the lead, first of all, Zillow could be our competitor one day. Some folks would argue that Zillow is our competitor already. And certainly I think it's fair to say that at the very least, Zillow is not a friend to the realtor or the real estate industry. But there are a lot of consumers using it, so it's certainly a fair place to put, and it is for all purposes here, all transparency, where the vast majority of our reviews currently lie. And I don't like that. So we're making a change. We're pivoting towards more generalized, like a Google review. I think Google is probably the #1 place to be in terms of creating reviews, but it's so important. And, for folks who don't have, a lot of sales under their belts, these reviews, it can be something very generic. Very generic. So, for example, Myra, is it Myra? Am I pronouncing it right?
it's Mariah.
Mariah. Oh, Mariah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I've heard that name before. So for Mariah, I mean, so you have friends in the area or family or coworkers that you've worked with before in some form or fashion?
Correct. Yes.
The review doesn't have to say, Mariah is the best realtor. It could say, I can't think of someone that I would trust more than Mariah. I know that Mariah has her people's best interests at heart. She will have yours too. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to ask people who maybe you haven't transacted yet with. You're not asking them to lie or mislead the public to say that, Mariah's helped me buy and sell 4 houses when in fact they hadn't. But to simply talk about you and the character. I mean, that's a big part of what people are looking for. Yes, some people are strictly looking, how many homes have you sold in the last 12 months? Okay, they got you there. But work with what you got. Your character, your ability to create trust and give your best and be a true fiduciary might be a heck of a lot greater than someone who sold 30 homes this year. So use it. Before I go any further, what are some thoughts that y'all have so far?
I don't think I have a thought. I guess it's a question. So like when people go to make these reviews, where like I know a few people have said like you can go to Google and different other places, but how are they actually like getting there? Like what are they inputting in order to go ahead and give a review, I should say?
It's a great question. So for all of these things, you need to set them up. So you need to, as a business owner, you have to set up a business page. It's actually very simple with a site like Zillow. It's very simple with Yelp. I've done both of them, and I'm not the technology guy at all, but I can do that. And once you do, then you can send a link asking for a review. So it's just a link that is sent out, or they can Google you. They can type your name and you'll show up. If you have a Google page, or a business through Google, it'll show up. Same thing with Yelp. But it takes like 5 to 10 minutes for you to do yourself. Any ahas, anything that anyone has learned here so far? Come on, you guys got to make me look good here. I'm being reviewed after all of this. Leslie, go ahead.
The aha moment for me is how easy it is when you're actually calling people that are already in your phone. I never would have thought that this would be considered lead generation, just because of how welcoming they are, and because they know you, they want to help you succeed. So it's like, hey, sure, put me down, we can talk, and I have some questions. You also find out who actually is looking for the service.
You know, and on that note, you know, one question that I've found to be very useful in those kinds of lead gen conversations, especially when you're calling your sphere. And again, I always say this, treading lightly on it not being your first phone call. You know, this is why it's so important to get into relationship with people, because, you know, if you call that first time and you're asking for something, people can often see through that. But once you've gotten into relationship with people, once you've earned, I think, and I say earned, the right to ask for business, the way you ask for business is also important. You know, there's a difference in saying, hey, who do you know who's buying or selling in the next 90 days versus who do you know that's just gotten married or is expecting a baby or having some big life event happening right now? Because they don't know. Oftentimes they don't know if, you know, who's buying and selling, but I know who got married. I know who just had a kid. I know who just is, you know, separated and just got a divorce. You know, those are the people we want to talk to. Corey, thank you. You said, work with what you have, your character. I love it. I love it. Let that be the competition. Karen said Facebook reviews. Facebook, oh yes, Facebook review. Facebook's another great place to go for reviews. You know, you know, I'll never forget getting my first negative review on Facebook. And it was like an anonymous, like not anonymous, but somebody I had never heard of or talked to before. And they just left like a 1 star and left. I was like, really? You know, one thing I would really recommend with all of the reviews, and have you guys ever noticed, I think I noticed this a lot on like Travelocity. Anyone ever use a like a Travelocity or Orbitz or TripAdvisor type of website where you can leave reviews on the hotel or a restaurant? And then sometimes you'll see that every review the business responds to, whether it's a great review or a negative review, they respond to it. And I think that's often overlooked as one of the most important areas for a business owner to, first of all, publicly thank people for their good reviews. It creates engagement, Karen said. Absolutely. And it also humanizes you. It humanizes the company. You know, you could be Hilton Hotel responding to a review, and all of a sudden, it's not like the Hilton family, you know, or some corporate buttoned up shop. It's, you know, that there's a person behind there who took the time to respond to the review, whether it's, you know, to say thank you for the review or to say, I'm really sorry that you had that kind of experience. That's not the kind of experience that we that we aim to provide throughout this experience. And, you know, we appreciate the feedback, and I can assure you that we will learn from this, and our future clients will be better off because of it. You know, one thing I would recommend against doing is getting defensive and getting into any kind of spat. Like, you are crazy. I've never seen that on, you know, I've never seen Hilton respond to a negative complaint by saying, you're crazy. You know, there's nothing that we could have done to make you happy. Keep it very professional, keep it very level-headed, let people see the professional that you are. That's your opportunity. Own the issue. Own the issue, exactly. Even if it's not an issue, even if you really think that that you did anything wrong, you just say, look, I really appreciate the feedback. I'm really sad that you had that kind of an experience. You know, we work our tails off to make sure that the experience that's left behind is better. And I'm sorry that didn't happen here. So I tell you, first of all, I don't know, I think everyone's got a hand raised button. Can you guys raise your hand on here? I'm gonna unshare my screen here. Stop share. Now I can see y'all. Nice. All right. I can see everybody's faces now, those who are sharing. So thank you. How many of you guys are dual career? Bunch of hands. Okay. All right. Hands down, hands down. Let me see. How many people are not dual career? How many people are full-time at it? Got a handful. Okay. So most of us are dual career, which isn't a surprise. That's why we do this at night for y'all. You know, I think one of the fastest ways to get started in this is to commit yourself to a daily practice, like anything else. I'm in the process now, very, very early process of trying to lose some weight. You know, I do that by committing to consistency and getting into a habit. I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm not one of those guys that, like, if I go to the gym once a week, I'm good. Or if I just, you know, go a couple times a week, but whenever I can fit it into my schedule. No, I actually like put it on my schedule. I create my schedule around it, and I make sure that happens. And it's the same thing with lead gen. For me, for lead gen is a daily thing. I've been doing this now for 18 years. And I still 2 hours a day from 9 to 11 every day, I'm in the office making phone calls. You know, the next step too in all of this, we just finished up a business planning clinic last week, and I think there's another one coming up, which if you guys haven't attended a business planning clinic, I would highly, highly recommend you guys partake in. But it's about, you know, a lot of it stems to one concept, which is to know your numbers. You know, keep track of how many people you're calling, how many dials you made. I mean, the technology we have at our disposal makes some of this stuff so easy. But to keep track of how many calls you made, how many people you actually talked to, how many appointments you actually set, how many appointments you actually kept, how many appointments that you kept turned into agreements, and how many agreements that you had turned into contracts. And then last but not least, my favorite is how many contracts converted into a settlement that you guys got paid on. You know, so it all stems from how many dials. You know, I know if I'm calling, depending on what class of people I'm calling, if I'm calling past clients, I know that I have typically about a 25% answer rate. So if I want to talk with 10 people that I sold houses to, I know that I'm going to have to call 40 people. I know that if I'm calling people who were just old leads or leads that got away, that number is closer to like 10%. So if I want to talk to 10 people in that category, I got to make $100. And I mix it up all the time. I don't make one call to a past client and then one call to, an old lead, because I like to get in the moment. I like to kind of focus on like having the same kind of conversation. Just makes me like my third call is always better than my first. But if I'm kind of bouncing around from one lead type to another, I can't really say that's true, that my third call is better than my first. Any of this ringing bells? What are y'all thinking about? I'm gonna call you guys out now, since I can see all your faces. Mark, what is it, Maritza? You have your hand up?
Yes, basically, yes, I did. I used to work in a call center, and it is always easier to kind of like get your mindset, yourself organized before you actually start making those calls or receive the calls, basically, because I was on both ends. So at some point in time, I used to have to make the calls, so I will keep track of them, using the OneNote program. I will look at my scripts before I even approach the dial out to the customers or anything. So.
I love it. I love it. That I tell you, that's I've learned a whole new level of respect for folks who work in a call center, and then also if you're in real estate now, I mean, you've done the hardest part. That's, I mean, it's
rejection.
all easier from here.
Yeah, you get a lot of rejection. That's true.
Oh yeah, a lot of rejection. So, well, kudos to you. That's great. If you got that skill down, that's one that we could all use.
Yes.
Karen, what do you picked up here?
I was just writing down, I feel like I just need to be better about like getting out there and just having genuine conversations. I feel like I'm so afraid to make it salesy, and I don't need to. So I just need to like flip that in my head and just have a real conversation. And then, if it's appropriate to mention real estate, but yeah, not worry about trying to like sell myself, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think it's okay to sell yourself. It's just, you have to keep in mind that you're not selling a house to everybody. Selling yourself is just an act that you do. It's like the byproduct of you just being genuine and wanting to help.
Right. Okay.
Somebody had messaged me, what do I say? I say, well, look, my name's Mark. I'm a realtor in the neighborhood. Just wanted to check in and see if there's anything I can do to help, anything real estate related that I could do to help. You have any questions about the market or your home value, or are you looking to make any improvements around the house? Can't tell you how many times that has led into a sale. Now, Maritza will tell you, is it Maritza? Am I pronouncing it right? Yeah. Maritza? Yes. She'll, what is it?
Right. Yes.
Okay. I can't hear you, but I hope I'm getting it right. But, you get a lot of rejection, and that comes with it. You just got to brush it off. But if you're genuine to yourself, that stuff, it does not come off salesy. You raising your hand there? You stretching, Lenise? I think she was just stretching. Okay. I'll give you guys a cool little story that I have for a guy who I had in my database for years. And for years, he was in my database probably for 5 years before we started talking. And before we actually started talking, every time I got him on the phone, I called him up one day. He's like, as soon as he realized I was a realtor, he's like, oh, I'm on my way to Dulles right now. I can't talk. Call me next week. And so I'm like, all right, I hang up, write a note, on his way to Dulles, scheduled a call for next week. By the way, everybody in my database has a follow-up task. Everybody. There's a time and a day for me to call that person. And I have 8,800 working contacts right now in my database. And every one of them has a time to call them. If I don't have a time to call them, to me, that's the quickest way a contact dies in my database. I think of it as a tree, and there's a branch that dies if I don't have a follow-up task for that person. So I call this guy up and I say, a week later, I call him. He's like, I can't talk right now. I'm on my way to Dulles. I'm like thinking to myself, well, okay, wrote in the database again on his way to Dulles. Followed up again the third week, and he picks up the phone. He says hello, and I said, before I say anything else, please tell me you are not on your way to Dulles right now. And the guy starts laughing. He's like, no, I'm not. Who is this? And I got him laughing. And first of all, I can't tell you how critical it is when you're talking to people to try to get them to laugh a little bit, lighten up the mood a little bit. So this guy starts laughing. He's like, yeah, who is this? I'm not on my way. I'm like, all right, this is the realtor. Every time I call you, you're on your way to Dulles. So I just want to make sure this time you're not on your way to Dulles. He's like, no, man, I'm good. You got a good memory too. And I'm thinking to myself, he thinks I have a good memory. He doesn't know me. I just have a really good database. And I'm telling you, and fast forward, that was a sale that happened. There's another one now where I had from a previous team I was on 10 years ago, had a lead, stayed in touch, called him once or twice a year. The guy was super friendly. His mother was 92 years old and living in a single family home in my market in Cockeysville. And he's like, nah, I'm not looking to do anything now. In fact, I love my house. I'm going to be here for a long time. But my mother, she's 92 and, she will not leave the house. But when she goes, I'll call you. And I'd say I made that call to him a couple times a year, every year. And lo and behold, he called me. He called me about 2 months ago and said, hey, look, man, I know I told you. And as soon as he called, I was like, oh, man, I'm thinking mom passed away. Well, she didn't pass away, but she fell and she's not going back home. And but he had remembered me. And so this is the power of that database where I'm not, the true testament of a business is when they're calling you. When you've created that relationship and earned that relationship so deep that they are calling you when the time is right. Your calls don't need to be the one that spurs the sale call to action. It just needs to solidify the relationship because we don't know when something's going to happen in people's lives. I know we have a couple things here on as far as scripts and there's daily success habits in memorizing scripts. I know I was having a sidebar conversation with someone earlier about scripts. I used to say before I came to Keller Williams and I thought very highly of myself, I would kind of look down at scripts and say, well, they're not natural. I don't need to learn scripts. They sound canned. They don't sound like me. Anyone ever have these thoughts? Yeah, some people. It's okay. It's okay if you never had those thoughts too. It's probably better if you
Yes,
didn't.
I have.
Yeah, it's very common.
Yeah,
And
I used to work again.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Say that
like I
again?
said, we used to use the scripts, but when I used to work in the call center, I used to use the scripts, but we were empowered to make them our own. So basically, we could adjust it, except for legal issues. That part had to be written specifically, and said the prompts had to be done properly for
Right.
those.
Your call is being recorded. You couldn't make that your own.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things I realized a while ago was that while I was kind of knocking scripts as like an amateur thing, I realized that I had my own scripts. Like the things that I would say to clients and people were the same things over and over again. It was like the epitome of a dad joke told over and over again. But it was a script. I just never had it written down. And I never studied it and memorized it. But it was absolutely a script. So what one of the things that I've realized is like particularly when I started a team and I wanted to train other agents, is that I had to get the things that I would say written down on paper and turn them into scripts. And all it is practicing saying them over and over again until they're not, you don't have to read a piece of paper. That's where the magic happens, because when you can say the script without looking at a piece of paper, that's when you've owned it. And that's when the sales can get made. Where are the scripts? Naya says, where are the scripts? I don't know. Your market centers should all have them. There are a lot of scripts. Let me see here. See if we have that. You control the conversation. Yeah, I don't have the scripts here, but I know that market centers have them. Your team leaders should have them. That the power of the scripts, though, is that you control the flow of the conversation. You control what kinds of questions get asked, so therefore you kind of know what answers you're going to get. I kind of look at it as, when I was in grade school, I did mock trial. Because I thought I would want to be an attorney before I realized that you have to go to a lot of schooling for that. The barrier to entry is a lot higher than it is for us realtors. So, but I loved the mock trial piece because we were learning scripts. We were learning to ask questions that we knew the answers to. They say, don't ask a question if you don't know the answer. Obviously that's all in context, but the idea with a lot of the scripts is that you can box in and what could be an open-ended question, like, where do you want to live? Well, that's a broad, that can give so many kinds of responses versus, so are you looking to live in Towson or in Pasadena? You're looking for a 3-bedroom home or a 4-bedroom home. Well, they didn't say if they're looking for a 2-bedroom or a 5-bedroom. Maybe they are. But we've given them options. We kind of know, we've given them what we want the answers to be. Hopefully those are somewhat good examples here. Probably not the best examples. Can someone forward the written material to me? I did not receive the email. Sherry Banks, if you ask your team leader for that information, they will definitely be able to get it to you. I assume what you mean is the participation guide.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. I didn't see an email.
Okay. Yeah. Your team leader. Who's your, what market center are you in?
Legacy.
Which Legacy?
Yes.
Oh, you're in mine? You didn't get it?
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, I'm going to shake Alana when I see her tomorrow. You'll get it. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions, ahas, tips that you picked up? All right. Well, I enjoyed it. Hopefully this was good for you all.
Thank you, Mark.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You guys have a good night, okay?